Get ready to return to a time when Earth was dominated by creatures so extraordinary they would make even the greatest predators of Jurassic World look like amateurs. Ever since audiences saw the Indominus Rex on the big screen, followed by the sinister Indoraptor, popular imagination has been hooked on the idea of hybrids, monsters created by fusing distinct species tailor-made to terrify. But what if I told you that nature itself had already tested something very similar millions of years before any fictional laboratory ever dreamed of it? And more, that these real beings had weapons, behaviors, and characteristics even more extreme than any CGI hybrid. Today, we dive into the disturbing universe of the Megaraptorids, an enigmatic group of theropods whose gigantic claws, agile bodies, and brutal habits allowed them to dominate entire environments during the Cretaceous period. And with each new discovery, history becomes more impressive and more frightening. The comparison seems inevitable. Long arms, feline-like agility, huge curved claws. Sound familiar? The Indoraptor was conceived as an aggressive mix of Indominus and Velociraptor. But surprisingly, something similar actually existed. About 150 million years ago, at the end of the Mesozoic era, a lineage of predators emerged equipped with such an exotic arsenal that paleontologists still debate exactly who they were and where they came from. This is where the story of the Megaraptors begins, a clan so mysterious they could easily star in their own horror movie. The first clue about these creatures appeared not long before the turn of the century. In Argentina, paleontologists unearthed a fossil that changed everything. A colossal claw, so large it was immediately assumed to belong to a raptor on a monstrous scale. The original idea was simple. If it looks like the foot of a giant raptor, then that's what it must be. Except it wasn't. Over time, detailed studies revealed something even more impressive. That terrifying artifact didn't belong to the foot, but to the hand of the animal. It was a manual claw positioned on the first finger, measuring about 30 centimeters, the length of a ruler or the blade of some of the largest hunting knives in the world. And without exaggeration, it is considered the longest predator claw ever found in nature. And to think this structure belonged not to a single animal, but to an entire group. What was once named Megaraptor turned out to be only the first member of a list that quickly grew. Today, roughly 11 different genera make up this bizarre family, and each new species discovered made things even more complicated. As more remains were studied, an unsettling truth emerged. Those giant claws didn't come alone. The second finger carried its own recurved blade, equally elongated, sharp, and devastating. Imagine two natural weapons, each a true prehistoric dagger. And to complete the arsenal, even the third finger, though less extravagant, bore a strong, sharp claw capable of contributing to the attack. Now, add one more sinister fact. These claws were covered by a keratin sheath, meaning that in life they were about 30% larger than the fossils suggest. Perhaps the most chilling detail is how these claws were used. Unlike other famous predators such as T-Rex, which relied mainly on their jaws, Megaraptorids had surprisingly robust, muscular, and flexible arms. Their hands were large, strong, and agile, designed for quick, precise movements. A Megaraptor could wield its claws like a swordsman brandishing blades, striking with thrusts, slashes, and sweeping blows. As if causing deep, fatal wounds weren't enough, it is believed these animals also use their claws to tear carcasses and cut through dense tissue, turning their arms into versatile tools for both hunting and feeding. But this was only the beginning of their brutality. To understand the true chaos Megaraptors represented, one must look at the size of their prey. Large animals were likely taken down through successive blows, devastating cuts, and punctures that quickly incapacitated the victim before it even realized what was happening. For smaller prey, including creatures the size of humans, the method was even more disturbing. The Megaraptor could seize the animal with his hands, impale it as if skewering, and bring it directly to its mouth, still alive. And why do we know this? Because the skeletal structure of these predators reveals highly mobile shoulders with an unusual range of motion among theropods. These animals had the full ability to lift their prey and bring it to their face, exactly as a manual predator would. Their mouths, it must be said, also had their own strangeness. Instead of uniform teeth, as seen in many classic theropods, members of the Megaraptor family displayed highly diverse dentitions. Megaraptor itself had front teeth resembling those of tyrannosauroids, chisel-shaped with a D-shaped cross-section. Megaraptor had long, thin teeth, almost like fangs, giving it a look reminiscent of modern venomous animals. Others, like Arostion and Orcaraptor, had teeth similar to compsognathids and dromaeosaurids, with smooth fronts and serrated backs, ideal for cutting. And the bizarre Fukuiraptor boasted blades so compressed and sharp they resembled the dentition of Carcharodontosaurs, the shark-toothed dinosaurs. Despite this diversity of forms, they all seem to have shared one trait. Their bite was not especially powerful. But that was never a problem because the heavy work was done by the claws, and that arsenal alone was devastating enough to compensate for any weakness in their jaws.
And when we talk about size, the picture becomes even more fascinating. Among all known Megaraptors, one in particular stands out for its resemblance to the cinematic Indoraptor, Arostion, a creature 7.5 meters long and weighing about 1.1 tons. That build would easily compare to the hybrid monsters of fiction. Yet this wasn't even considered a giant of the group. It was medium-sized. Nearly half of all known Megaraptors surpassed that length, reaching 8 meters or more. In some regions, they were simply the largest predators around, dominating entire ecosystems. In Australia, in fact, the largest theropod ever identified belongs to this very family. Ironic for a country still famous today for hosting dangerous animals. But the throne of largest Megaraptorid of all belongs to a titan with a curious name, Mipe. Don't be fooled by its soft pronunciation. The name comes from a local mythological entity associated with deadly cold and sudden death. Nothing could be more fitting for a predator that reached about 10 meters in length and likely wielded the largest claws ever carried by any land animal. So massive, in fact, that estimates suggest manual blades over 37 centimeters long, potentially rivaling Freddy Krueger himself in a contest of natural weapons. This entire group was not only strong, but surprisingly light. Their bones were hypernuminized, filled with cavities that made them lighter than those of other theropods. The level of numinization in Megaraptors finds a parallel only in Neovenator, perhaps a distant relative. This made their bodies far more agile than expected. For comparison, while an Allosaurus of similar length could weigh 50% more, many Megaraptorids were relatively slender and fast, functioning as swift, almost ninja-like predators specialized in precise attacks. This combination created an uncommon machine hunting, light enough to run, strong enough to strike with brutality, and armed with claws that could easily pierce, slash, and shred. But even monsters have enemies. Fossil records show these animals sometimes fought among themselves. The skull of a Murus raptor, for example, was found with punctures that perfectly matched the teeth of its own species, evidence of a battle against a rival. The wound became so infected that the animal likely died from it. Rivalry was part of the game. There was also competition with other giants. In South America, Megaraptors shared territory with Carcharodontosaurs, equally dangerous predators, but heavier and specialized in large prey. That rivalry only ended when the Carcharodontosaurs disappeared, opening the way for Megaraptors to grow even larger. As for their origin, This may be the greatest mystery. They have been classified at different times as giant dromaeosaurs, then as neovenators, then as tyrannosauroids, and to this day there is no consensus. Their traits oscillate between several distinct lineages, leaving scientists with more questions than answers. The most plausible theory is that they emerged in the late Jurassic, probably in Asia, migrated to Australia in the early Cretaceous, and later colonized South America through Antarctica. And if there is one thing this group mastered, it was survival. While other famous theropod families lasted between 16 and 64 million years on average, Megaraptorids existed for about 84 million years, an impressive longevity for such specialized predators. And most curious of all, unlike many groups that shrank over time, Megaraptors grew larger and deadlier as they approached their final extinction. And how did they vanish? Not from habitat loss, not from competition, nor from evolutionary decline. Like all large non-avian dinosaurs, the fate of Megaraptorids ended abruptly with the asteroid impact 66 million years ago. Had that event not occurred, it's possible we would still be competing with these predators for territory today. For now, all we can do is speculate and imagine what it would be like to face head-on a real predator, armed with natural weapons more terrifying than any hybrid Hollywood ever created. If you enjoyed this journey into the past and want more incredible stories like this, hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new content. Look, another video is already appearing here on the screen, so click it and continue this adventure with us. See you next time.